Hey guys, welcome back to the Boxers Podcast. It's me and back with Angel. So today we have a lot of topics to talk about. I'm sure you've heard, Angel, that Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, the fight's been confirmed. What are your thoughts?
I'm just hoping the best man wins and, the fans can just get along and enjoy this moment because, there's been a lot of, AJ's ducking Tyson or Tyson's ducking AJ. None of that matters now. The fight's confirmed, so we all got what we wanted, and that's what matters.
Yeah, who do you think's going to win?
I think Tyson is going to win, but I will be rooting for AJ.
Yeah. So I think that it's not going to be like Tyson Fury's just going to dominate the whole time. And there's going to be they've already set up a second fight. But I feel like if Tyson Fury wins this fight, I feel like Anthony Joshua will win the second fight.
I agree. I see it as becoming like a 1-1 thing. And if not, probably like a tie. Or this can just be like another Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz thing where he just wins both of the fights. But I see this becoming even out. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it would be 1-1. And to be specific, I think Anthony Joshua would clutch up in the rematch.
Do you think Anthony Joshua could knock out Tyson?
Hard to say. Like, we saw how, Tyson Fury ate a huge right hand from Wilder, and Wilder's known for his right hand.
Yeah.
And I personally believe, if somebody wants to disagree, that's okay. But in my opinion, I think Wilder does hit harder than Joshua.
I think so,
So
too.
in my eyes, yeah, exactly. So in my eyes, if Wilder couldn't put down Fury, I'm questioning if Joshua can.
Yeah, I think Joshua has more technique than Wilder, but I just don't think he has enough power. Tyson Fury, that was he got hit hard by Wilder in that first fight, and I'm like, if you can take that shot, I think you can take Anthony's punches.
Yeah, the only thing that I think the only thing that can probably put Wilder down is because take Fury down is because Fury has a awesome, amazing metal chin. But the thing about the Wilder shot is that it was a one punch. Like he makes everyone look like one hitter quitters. I don't think he'll be able to get knocked out with one. I don't think he'll be able to get knocked out with one punch, but Anthony Joshua, because he's the more technical, like you said, he can use combos to get him knocked down. Like, if he's going to get knocked down, it's going to be through combos. It's not going to be no Wilder one-punch stoppage,
Yeah. So the other big fight that was announced was Billy Joe versus Canelo. Canelo, right? That's his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on that?
I think that he's definitely a step up in competition compared to his last fight. Billy Joe Saunders, he is a big name. He's not mainstream, but, in boxing world, he is a big name. He's undefeated, I think, and apparently the British have something against Canelo because the Zone just posted is Billy's Britain's best chance to defeat Canelo. So Britain is really holding on to Billy's name to beat Canelo. It's like a national pride thing.
Yeah. So who do you think's gonna win?
Well, I mean, Billy's an amazing boxer, but I just can't bet against someone like Canelo. You know what I mean? Like, man is just the face of boxing right now.
Yeah, I watched Canelo's fights kind of when the fight was announced, and I think Billy Joe is gonna last a good couple rounds with him. But I think Canelo just looks technically stronger and just physically stronger. And it's not like I'm a huge fan of either of these guys. I just kind of know the basics about them. But I just from what I've seen, I think that he's just gonna. I think his technique will eventually overtake Billy Joe's technique.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know if you've seen a lot of Billy fights, but Billy doesn't exactly like fighting. He's not exactly the most head rush in. He pressures, but he doesn't exactly go straight at him.
Yeah.
And Canelo can do anything. He can rush. He can fight on back foot. He can do anything. I think Billy is a one-trick pony, and Canelo is just the overall better fighter.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. But I'm hopefully that be able to see that fight. But I just got into this Discord server that streams fights legally, obviously, and they have like everything there, so I don't even have to like go looking on like Twitter or anything for links.
Hallelujah.
So the next thing was Tyson Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul. That was something that people were excited for, but then Jake was like, maybe down the line it will happen, and then Tommy Fury said a couple days ago that he's kind of like not really interested anymore because Jake didn't like take the call out super seriously. So very quickly, like, what are your thoughts, and would you want to see that fight happen?
It's kind of hard to say. To be honest, I didn't even know that Tyson Fury even had a brother. So I had to do research on him, and you can tell he's new to the sport. He's not experienced as compared to the other people Jake called out or called out Jake. He seems relatively new to the sport. Even Tyson Fury said himself they have like similar experience.
Yeah.
So I think this fight wouldn't be insanely risky for Jake as compared, to the other fighters.
Well, I think
like this fight is not as dicey.
Yeah, well, I think that Tommy would be. Would you say that Tommy would be Jake's best opponent yet?
If it was his next, yeah, I think Tommy would be his best opponent until he gets a higher step in competition. But yeah, I think Tommy Fury, like now from his opponents now, yeah, it would definitely be his best opponent. It's not even close. It'd be by miles. He would be his best opponent. Because right now it's Deji. That kind of speaks terms. If Deji's your best opponent, that should say something about your boxing abilities.
Exactly.
So.
I like to. I don't think I've ever said this before in a video or whatever, but to me, I think that Jake Paul is boxing's biggest fraud, and let me tell you why. He likes to take these big name opponents, these guys that are like elite NBA athletes or like a 10 plus year combat veteran, and he likes to tout all of their accomplishments. But what people don't like seem to understand and why they kind of go under Jake's influences. Jake kind of distracts people by saying, "Oh, look at all these accomplishments, look at all these things," and they don't actually see that. These, like Ben Askren, for example, has all these accomplishments, but he's a terrible striker. And if you look at him and Jake and compare their boxing skills, I mean, it's clear that Jake is far superior. And I like to put it this way: if you were to bet money on KSI, so say KSI and Ben Askren both fought Jake Paul in April, who would you bet more money on? KSI or Ben Askren?
KSI.
Exactly. A YouTuber who has not fought in coming up 2 years should not be the person that you bet more money on than the 10 plus year combat veteran with all these accolades. It's like that's the level. Like if you really think about it, it's like people like Ben Askren is Jake's first real challenge, and I'm like, no, he's not. Like if a YouTuber who hasn't fought in 2 years has a better shot at winning than a combat veteran, like what does that say about Jake's opponents? It just says that he picks weak opponents, the weakest chain in a particular division, whether that's UFC, whether that's basketball, and so when he wins, he's like, look I just beat up this veteran guy, but I'm like, KSI had a better shot at winning, and also KSI could beat Ben Askren, and also if KSI were fighting you in April, he would last longer and have a better shot. So, I mean, when you really think of it like that, it doesn't seem that impressive.
I agree, man. It's like I do. Wait, don't. I don't want to get my words twisted. I do think Ben would kill Jake in the octagon.
Yes.
But in a boxing ring, it's like getting a swimmer to box you. It's like pick somebody who's in the sport. Like you don't see goddamn LeBron playing basketball with Cristiano Ronaldo. Like get somebody in your sport, but Jake has the money team mentality. He knows which fights are risky and which fights aren't. But at the same time, it's making him look like a clown because he's over here like trying to outplay himself. because he's over here trying to hype up the other opponent, right? Like saying, "Oh, he's a ultimate dunk champion," or "This guy is 10 years of a veteran."
Yeah.
And he makes it seem like he's the underdog. Like in the Nate Robinson fight, he's always like, "Oh, the pretty boy against the athlete."
Yeah. Yes.
And in this fight, he's trying to say, "Oh, the YouTuber can't beat the UFC fighter." Like he's always trying to downplay himself on purpose to make it look like he's the better fighter when he wins.
Yeah, his fights are high reward, low risk fights. Like, people are like, "Oh, he's gonna fight Tommy," and I'm like, "No, he's not." And also, he's like, "People wanted me to fight a real fighter, so I'm gonna fight a real fighter." And I'm like, "Well, Ben Askren is a real fighter, but everyone didn't want you to fight an MMA guy. They wanted you to fight a pro boxer." Because here's the thing, it doesn't make sense to me that he says, "I have the ability to knock out Conor McGregor, and I'm knocking out pros," and his own coach is like, "Yeah, he could beat Conor," and talking about how he's this formidable foe. And yet he fights bums. He fights people that are terrible. And to me, that says that either A, you're not confident enough in your abilities, or 2, you need the validity and people saying how good you are so that it boosts your confidence because you don't have confidence to begin with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, BJ Flores, he's like, I don't know if he's self-aware he's a yes man, or the man is just like off drugs.